What up, world? Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. You already know what it is. Welcome to Waxvillain Fireside Chat. We got Mount Worcester's Jared Wayne Colby and Melvin Dillon of Soul Step Records. We're talking everything Mount Worcester. We're talking everything Soul Step Records. Keep it locked. We'll kick things off real soon. Shout out to everybody on the line. We see it. Yeah. Talking about this bad boy right here. Mount Worcester, debut LP, Soul Step Records. Jared and Melvin are gonna pull up real soon, y'all. Keep it locked. Y'all are listening to Contigo right now. Invite sent. Who caught this bad boy? Oh. Fellas!
Yo!
Give me 1 second.
Good.
I didn't know I was getting a 2-for-1 special tonight in the same room. That's fantastic.
Got to. Well, my man lives kind of right down the street now, so I just had to come over, you know?
That's wild. I love that.
Yeah.
What's the weather like today out there?
We ain't hit fall yet, man. I'm waiting for that. I'm at my peak powers when we get to the fall, and that Tennessee summer, man, it just don't let it go, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna be hot as shit here until like mid-November.
What?
It's
November?
It's still very much summertime, for sure.
Well, I just want y'all to know I got the heat. It's like 78 degrees right now in the house.
Yo, I love that.
We got to come up and get some of them Pacific Northwest vibes you got going.
Yeah. Hey, Melvin, man, I just got to say, it is so cool to have you on a Waxvillain live stream like this, man. Seeing everything that you've done since the pandemic, which is kind of when I started to learn about the indie music. You always had something cool going on with the label, and it was always fun to come online to see the work that you were doing and the high quality vinyl. So this means a lot to have you here tonight. And Jared, it's fantastic to bring you back for a part 2.
Of course.
I see we have 11 on the line. If y'all are ready, I'll go ahead and kick things off.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, we're happy to be here too, man. We appreciate you taking time. I know, we were just talking about how busy our lives get, and I know that's the same for you too. And so it's always great when we can come together and just kind of share and promote the thing that we all love so much, So
Yep.
A lot of love and appreciation goes right back at you, baby.
Yep.
Absolutely, brother. I want to welcome everybody to Waxvillain Fireside Chat. Fireside Chats are similar to interviews. However, we take the time to do the research. We want to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts. More importantly, we want to support and strengthen what's already out there. We got a grip of questions. Tonight's really exciting for me, y'all. This is a part 2 for Jared. I connected with him first when I saw Alana Royale and her band come to Seattle. It was wicked cold out here, but that was my first connection, getting a chance to see this gentleman up on stage. From there, I would later learn about his music that he would be working on with Mount Worcester and hearing the first single, Contigo. We brought him on for a fireside chat last year. Fast forward to 2023, he's got the debut LP out on Soul Step Records, so I wanted to invite him back for a follow-up chat. The gentleman that you see on the other side is the founder of Soul Step Records. He goes by the name Melvin Dillon. I believe 2011 was when the label started, and what really stood out to me about Soul Step Records, folks, was the care that they put around the artists, putting all the costs up front, making it possible for them to create great music and put it out on vinyl. 80+ releases in the catalog to date, and some of these artists have gotten picked up by bigger labels. It is fantastic to have you here, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Jared and Melvin Dillon.
Hey, we're pumped. We're pumped, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, y'all. So let's just start with some very basic introductions. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and your role on the indie music scene.
Sure. Well, so yeah, my name is Jared Colby. I'm originally from Worcester, Massachusetts. Currently live in East Nashville, Tennessee. I've been playing soul music, for a little over a decade now, but been a fan of it most of my life. And before I got into playing soul music, I was very much involved in the hardcore scene in Boston and Worcester. So that's really what I came up doing. But transition and slowing things down, mellowing out in my 30s a little bit.
That's one of the biggest things Jared and I got in common. We have a wide range of genres that we get into, and I think that's something that is always fun when we get a chance to sit down and talk a little bit about music, is just how wide our influences go. I'm Melvin. I run Soul Step Records. I don't need to give you all the information because Waxvillain just hit you all with it. But I am born and raised in Big Stone Gap, Virginia, in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains. So if you hear a little bit of an accent come out, that would be why. Man, well, I've been doing the label. It started in Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay.
And the big bulk of the time that I was doing this work was in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
And then a quick detour in Denver, Colorado. And then thanks to the day job, I find myself here in Nashville as well, which is a perfect place to land. This is a place that my first records were pressed in Nashville. And a big chunk of the people I work with are based out of here, live here, operate out of here. It seems like it's pretty split. Big chunk is from Cincinnati, and another big chunk's here from Nashville, especially with Jared and the Mount Worcester project, and obviously, the work that we're both doing through and with the Alana Royale project that's coming up soon as well. So it's a little bit about me.
Very cool. As you were naming all those different locations, I was thinking, man, the rare soul was rich out there. I'm just thinking it must have been great to be able to kind of have your footprint in each of those locations. And as you evolve the network and just kind of the different, I guess, liking styles around indie music, you have visibility and a lens into that. So you guys mentioned y'all live down the street from each other, but what I really want to kind of learn about is, how did y'all connect? Talk to us about that very first meeting.
Yeah. Oh God, it's such a horrible memory sometimes.
Well, the big way that we kind of came together is a long time ago. I was just a big fan of Alana Royale.
Okay.
Obviously Jared plays guitar.
Alana is the great bringer together of everyone in this world, for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt, she's a great connector.
The nexus to the universe.
But I remember at one point starting to build some sort of relationship with Alana online, just being a fan and telling her that I appreciated her music, and then there got to be a chance for us to be here in the same place, and we started to talk and ideate around some things, and once we got to know each other, that's how I got to meet Jared.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and once upon a time, this handsome mug slid my DMs, and he was like, "I want to hit you with this project that I'm working on." And I went, "Holy shit! I've never been able to do an instrumental R&B record, and there's a ton in my collection that I love so much." Yeah. And I thought the record was phenomenal, and we put our heads together, and now it's out in the world, and I couldn't be more proud of being a part of it.
That's awesome. And I remember when I saw Alana's last record come out, I was like, this is exciting. This is kind of a new flavor for Soul Step. And beautiful vinyl, by the way. My goodness, that color variant. Now, I got to ask you, Melvin, what did you think the first time that you heard the record?
Ooh, I thought that, because a lot of what's out there that a lot of people know, obviously, is coming out of that coal mine tip. A lot of West Coast kind of sound when it comes to instrumental stuff, especially like Surefire, Soul Ensemble. But what I dug about the Mount Worcester project is there was a lot of East Coast vibe to it. There was a lot of hip hop influence to it. And as I started to peel into the tracks, each track had a different kind of flavor that showcases Jared's ear, Jared's influences, and the fact that every different track gave you a little something different. One hand, I feel like I'm listening to a 1970s musical score. On another hand, it feels like something that maybe L. Michaels had his hands on. Something, that sounds like the Wu-Tang Clan would probably love to sample. I just thought there's just a lot of really great stuff going on here.
Mhm.
And, I didn't know how it was going to go, how it was going to sell, because instrumental stuff is like a niche within a niche within a niche, especially when you're dealing with me in the vinyl world. But when a project's that good, it's hard not to get passionate about it.
Mm.
And it's grown legs probably a little bit further than we both thought it would.
Honestly,
Right?
yeah, it's already exceeded my expectations for
Wow.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and like, anyone who's listening that's already bought it, like, thank you so much. It's been real cool. And, on that note of what Melvin was just saying, like, you know, he immediately understood where I came from, all those influences. I didn't even have to tell him, like, oh, I love Wu-Tang, like, or whatever, but like, I just drew so much inspiration from all of that East Coast stuff, especially from East Coast hip hop. And so, like, the fact that he came back to me and like understood what it was, and I was like, all right, cool, like, I know that this is gonna work out well,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
as an artist, you just always want to work with people that like understand what you do, so that they can like truly give a shit about it,
Totally. And that was one of the things that was really important to me when I was talking about this record, was not getting too close to the what it sounds like, because I wanted people to know that this came from you. This is your journey, your story. These are just the inspirations, right, that you're kind of transposing.
Yeah.
There are lots of labels out there, but I really want to know, how did you choose Soul Step Records as the home for the debut?
Well, I really loved Melvin's like business plan, first of all, and his just business model in general. I just think like the support of artists is very important, especially in a world where there is no support for artists. Or, if a label is like, yeah, well, we'll give you like, 100K up front, but we take a cut of all your merch and everything you own and your first child and, your next 7 records, like, I've been in bands that have broken up because of bad record deals. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I I didn't see any of that with Melvin, and I think that he puts out quality records. He really cares about a quality product, something that sounds really good. And you know, out of everything else, I just thought that that would be a really good fit, and I thought that, like, although he had never put out an instrumental record before, that I thought that his audience would appreciate it,
Yeah.
and so ultimately that was kind of the move for me. And also I do wanna shout out AJ, who runs Trash Casual,
Yeah.
because it is a collaborative release. And the first, and AJ also runs Rough Trade Publishing, and so I'm linked up with him in that way as well. And so when I turned it into him for publishing, he was like, "Yo, I put this out," and so I was like, "Well, what if we like collab this and we get like we get Melvin in on the vinyl side, AJ handles all the digital, and we meet in the middle and work together, and it's great."
Match made in heaven. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I couldn't
just
be more fortunate.
Yeah, no, to me it seemed like a perfect fit. It made sense. And when I think of what Melvin has done, I say this with the highest regard. A real genuine mom and pop feel, to the point where it's like family. Like when you hear him come on video and talk about the records, it's like an extension of him, and that care. So I love that collaboration, and that everything worked out. But Melvin, for me, man, what I want to kind of get under is your vision for this, because what you are doing is so unlike what I see across the board with labels. That real genuine care, and that want to really put the artist first. Where did this inspiration come from, and what was it that moved you to kind of take this career-like journey?
Yeah, man. Like for the longest time, I've been extremely passionate about music. I remember riding in my car, like I said, growing up in the Appalachians, when we needed to get to anything, it was a bit of a drive.
Yeah.
And so, I was either immersed in bluegrass and country music, because that's just what was around. I grew up in the shadow of the Carter Fold, the first family of country music, and getting to see that growing up. But then on the other side, my dad brought me into to listening to Motown
Oh,
music.
oh wow.
And as a kid, that was some of like my earliest memories in terms of music that really like connected and clicked for me.
Yeah.
And I was always that kid in middle school and high school going on the school trip with that big sack of CDs that you could take, right? I was that dude and making burn mixtapes for the shorties as I would back in the day. But exactly, right? But when it comes to the label, I was working a day job and my boss pulled me aside and he goes, "Son, I got to tell you, you're burning yourself out. You work here, you work when you're home. I need you to get a hobby, get a girlfriend, get something to do to just have a break from the day job." And so I went home and I started scheming and I said, okay, I'm going to start a record label. But what I wanted to do, man, is, I played music for a long time growing up. I wasn't that good at it, but I was clearly passionate about it. And I thought, what would be something cool that I would have really loved when I was playing music? I didn't have a ton of money. I was barely getting by. And I built this business plan to where I raised a little bit of capital for that first release. It was about $2,000, to be honest.
Okay.
And that was the seed money for everything the label has turned into. And to this date, I've never taken a penny from the label and put it in my own pocket. Everything that I make, I send half right back to the artist, and then the other half goes right into funding the next release.
Mhm.
So the more that I can output, the more money that I can make, which is more that I can invest in other artists.
Right.
And it's just continued to grow. And I just remain pretty steadfast in the fact that I don't ever want to have a record label that I take money off of, because then I'm going to make decisions that benefits the finances and not necessarily what is the artist's vision and what's right for them. And I'm very fortunate to have a day job that takes good care of me, pays the bills, and so in the little bit of free time that I do get, I love to dive into my passion work, and that's been Soul Step, and that's kind of the beginning of it, and hopefully what it'll be for the long run.
No, that's beautiful. I got to ask this question. I'm sure that it wasn't a swift and easy ride to get to where you are now. Is there a challenge that you experienced on the way that really once you got past it, you felt good about things?
Oh man, there's been nothing but challenges. From learning to do things that are brand new to you, but every time that like the label can make this next step in terms of how we're known, the growth,
Mm-hmm.
it presents a whole new set of obstacles. I'm still new to doing digital work now, and I'm still new to working with distributors because, again, for the most part, I did it all, every single bit, and it's a beautiful thing to watch the label grow. But I have to consistently unlearn things and learn new ones.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are easier than others.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just been really fortunate to have people around me that I can pick up the phone and call, people I trust, people who've been there before. And, there's even a band I work with now called In the Pines. We put a single out for them just last night. And one of the things we're doing with their record is I'm actually opening the door to everything that I do, because once they're done with this record with me, which will be their third release with Soul Step, they're starting their own record label and they're going to do something similar. And so I just think that's part of what my legacy needs to be. I wouldn't be where I'm at to work and put out records like this Mount Worcester record if it wasn't for people who've helped me and answered questions and didn't look at me like I'm an idiot. And so I'm just trying to do that for others that are close by and near me. And I think you just pay it forward and good things will come right back to you.
Yeah, I mean, you built the framework and now others are able to build on top of your success. And I think that when you're doing things like that, that's a big win. So very good stuff there. Jared, I want to get back to the album. We talked about the collection of songs, the different influences, but tell us why you decided to make this record and describe to us what we should be hearing, because this wasn't like it was just you in a room by yourself. You mentioned that it took a village to kind of create this. And so I'd love to just kind of glean from you the why and the what should we take away from chapter 1, the debut LP.
Sure. Okay, so check it out. So the guy that played drums on the record, his name's Derek Luby, and I know him from back home. I actually recorded his first band when he was like 12 years old. And that's we had worked on multiple projects together over the years where like I was producing, I was behind the console and whatever. And he's just this fantastic musician, like, great drummer, great singer-songwriter. He plays a lot of different instruments, just like really talented. And he moved down here from Boston maybe like 2016, I think, 2015, 2016. And he actually moved into the house that I moved out of in East Nashville, which was actually kind of a trip. And he and I were talking over the years, like, oh, we need to we really need to get something together. We need to like play this and that, whatever. And right around the time he got to Nashville, I was like feeling just a little bit burnt out on like musicians that overplay, right? And I was like, you know what? So I sat down with Derek and I was like, listen, you can play me an A section for 5 minutes and a B section for 5 minutes without doing a drum fill. We can make a fucking record. And so that's what we did. We literally just jammed in his living room, which was my old living room. And so that was really the start of it, man. And then and it got to be this point where it was like, oh, we actually have like 7 different grooves together that could be songs, right? And he was like, well, I'm moving to New York, and but we really like this thing that we have. So I was like, check it out. I promise you, I will finish tracking your drums, and I will book a show so that we could play together. And so we tracked his drums in the living room, and it was like we only had 4 mics. And it was like, that's what we're gonna do. But it just worked out, man. And so that was really the start of it. And I really wanted to like flex my arranging skills as well. Like I wanted something to work on something new production wise.
Yeah.
Because like I said, growing up in hardcore, I was always the dude that recorded everybody's hardcore band. You know what I mean? And as fun as that was, it was like I want to grow as a producer. I want to grow as an engineer. I want to work with a lot of different musicians. I want to learn stuff. So I want to really like try to arrange too. So I took those A and B sections and then just cut it all up. And like that's how I started to craft the songs. Like all those drums are pieced together. And anytime you really like hear a fill or something like that, it's like I've taken half of it from like the end of the song and put it at the beginning and whatever. Like it was a wild thing.
Wow.
So it took kind of a while, but then it worked out, and then everything else afterwards was just overdubs. It wasn't it wasn't the classic situation of like a band all gets in a room together and plays live, and it is what it is, which is great, and I love doing records like that. I've done records like that. It's an amazing process, but it was also very fun to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you say like it takes a village kind of thing, although I know like a little bit about arranging horns from studying music theory and whatever, I don't play horns. So Chris Baldani, that plays trombone on the record and flugelhorn, he also plays for Alana when she tours with horns, and he plays in my hardcore band as well. He's just altogether like solid guy. So I enlisted him to be like, hey, I don't need you to write anything or arrange anything. What I do need you to do is like play these lines and like let me know if you can breathe in the middle, because the way I wrote them was just I played them on guitar and then sent him the tracks,
Okay.
And so those original demos are just all the horn lines are just played on guitar. And so he helped out a lot. And then the other writer on all the songs, his name is Kent Tolson.
Yeah.
He's really fantastic organ player, and he and I got closer over the years. You know, I first saw him play a jazz gig at this shitty burger bar called Dino's in East Nashville, and it was like, you know, back when you could smoke in there and whatever, and it was wild. Like, you know, you can really only fit like maybe 20 people in there comfortably.
Wow.
And dude had like a jazz band set up and was just like ripping on the organ. And I was like, yo, who is this guy? And so yeah, so we got to talking, and you know, he's not only just a very accomplished musician and whatever, but he also shares my same love of hip hop. He knows like all the deep cut shit. And so that was the person that I really wanted to like you know, really wanted to connect with and bond with over this music. I feel like he took my idea to the next level, you know?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I think that, you know, when I listen to this record, those that are making the music, you kind of have to know the origin, where it comes from, the breadth of the music, the feeling. I was talking to Chris Lujan today about it, and I'm trying to plant these seeds so he can like vision and understand what I'm trying to tell him through a scene. So when somebody kind of knows, they already have that in their system, I think that's a big help. Now, there's somebody, one of our favorite soul brothers, that was also featured on the album. You want to tell us about that in the song?
Yeah, man. Yeah, so Mr. Kelly Finnegan, I was actually just with him over the weekend, which was nice. Did a little secret thing that I can't tell anybody about
Okay.
yet.
We'll keep it secret.
But just dropping that on you. So anyway, yeah, I had that track 6550, and right around the time that I that I had finished the arrangement, was like, all right, it's really good, but I feel like it just needs like something else. I heard this little and track called Deep Shadows, and it 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 had this incredible vibraphone on it that made it like warm but haunting at the same time, and it was like mixed way up front, and it was like so weird sounding, but like really really good, and it's an excellent tune. So I heard that and I was like, yo, I need vibraphone on this so bad. I need it to make the record, and I only know one guy with a vibraphone. And so and you know, so I hit Kelly with the track, and he was like, yeah, I love this, like of course I'll get it done. I think he sent the track back to me within 30 minutes. You know what I mean? It was just like that was it. And I was like, cool, that's the first take. I love it. Let's move on.
Wow.
You know? But yeah, Kelly's just is the dude like that. Like, you know, same as Melvin, same as you, same as AJ, like down to help, down to do the work, just like dedicated, committed, and just moves with an air of like respect for music and for what people around him are doing. It's really cool. And I've learned a lot from that fool over the years, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
In another chapter of life, I made beats, and I know that when you're making beats, you're really listening to the same 16 bars over and over again.
Yeah.
But when I took it to the studio, I had it all mixed down. They gave me a CD at the end of the night. And even though I had heard that beat like a million times, all I did when I got home was put that CD in my PlayStation. And I listened over and over again like it sounded different or something.
Yeah.
My point in telling you all that is, what did you think? What were you thinking when you put that record on the turntable and listened to the vinyl for the very first time? What are the songs that move you the most on the record?
I mean, first of all, that was just an unbelievable feeling, because, you know, as it says in the liner notes, like, that pandemic hit, and it was like, well, the shit was half done, man. You know, so it was like, oh, we can't even all get together. I can't produce this how I want to. So it was a lot of like, you know, like Chris's trombone tracks, and you know, I had like Andrew Golden on some of it, and he was playing from his house, and you know, and I had to be like, all right, how are you positioning the mic? You know, how do you hit the preamp, like shit like that, and even having like you know, Dillon, who played percussion on it, you know, I sent him fried plantains and be like, oh yeah, just like maybe hit it with some congas, and he liked the song so much, he sent me back everything you hear on it. He sent me back congas, bongos, cowbells, like shakers, bells, like just all this stuff. And was just like, yeah, I just liked it. And he cut it all for like $50. You know what I mean? And so so remembering all of that and what a process it was to finish this album at a time where none of us could actually get in the same room.
Yeah.
Seeing it play on a turntable just was a really emotional experience, honestly.
Sure.
And it was something that I was like, wow, I can't believe that this is something that I can hold in my hands and that we can all hear now, and I even designed the artwork myself, you know what I mean? So even that was like, I was, dusting off my Photoshop skills from like when I was 15 years old and, in high school. And, you know, so yeah, it was a really cool thing, man.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, there's this like really special moment you get when you run a record label, this very sacred moment where you get those test presses in and you sit and you listen to it, and most of the times it's all good. It sounds great. But you get to take in this moment to go like, I get to have this moment with this music. And often with Soul Step, my artist and I are usually in two very different places. And so to have the moment to be able to put that record on and to sit here in this room with Jared, um, and not only do I get this opportunity just to have pride for what we're doing together, but you get to kind of sit back and watch the artist absorb hearing their music on that format for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's a really special moment to get to share. And it's one of the more fun moments upon taking a record from when I get the chance to step in to the point where it goes out into the world, and it ain't Jared's project anymore. It's not a Soul Step project. It's the world's at that point.
Yeah.
And so those moments can be really special. And those are ones that I like, take that little mental snapshot and hold on to for sure.
Yeah. And also it brings it brings a real sense of closure as well. Especially it being a self-produced album. It's like, oh, I can go back and edit this forever, or do 50 mixes of the same song, and and whatever. And so like with that, it's like it's done. I can move on from this. You know what I mean? My job is done on this one. You know what I mean? And so that felt good too. It was definitely like a huge weight off my shoulders.
That's an interesting perspective, but I want to go back to what Melvin said, because many times all we see is the pre-order announcement. We see a color variant, the band name, right? But we don't know about that feeling that you talked about right there. And as I would continue to learn and hear more indie music, I wanted to know, hey, what led you to write those lyrics? Why does that artwork look like that? And we miss all that as fans. But I mean, as we champion the music and we support the artist, I think it's important to hear stories like that, because we're celebrating inside too, to know that you had that kind of moment with the record there. So I really like that a lot. Now, Melvin, we got two variants, viola, right? A smoky viola. I'm colorblind. I called it purple. And we have classic orange. Now, what comes to mind when you're getting ready to plan something like this from the project management end, when you're thinking about the front and the back of the album cover, the options for vinyl? How did you go about planning this? And give us a lens in from the mind of a label owner, how you approach these situations.
Right. Well, to be honest with you, the packaging that you see right now wasn't the initial plan. There was actually a completely different look and style and just art design to this record, to where we actually had different vinyl variants and everything picked out. And
yeah, man.
Is there a separate album cover?
Oh yeah,
totally.
Yeah, completely.
And it was dope
see this
too.
at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great as well. But once we kind of landed that this was the look and this was the design.
Yeah.
For me, when I think about vinyl variants, I want it to complement the artwork itself. I want it to be like one full, true package. And, you know, I think we probably threw a lot of different mock-ups that I would say, I think this is cool. Hey, Jay, you know, what do you think? And we kind of go back and forth until we found something that was really great. And traditionally, I'd always do just a color variant for Soul Step and the Soul Step subscribers who get the first dibs at these records. But now that we're distributing into indie retail at a high volume now, we got to think of a second variant as well, because that just helps move those copies in those record stores to know that no matter where you get this record, you're going to get a really good looking vinyl to go along with it. And but you don't want one variant to overstep the other.
Sure.
And so, you know, when we saw these flowers, these viola flowers, that's kind of where my eye went to, and what made me go, okay, I want to find some sort of style, this look that will complement that. I can't even tell you what about that like caught my eye, because you know, you could think you could go to kind of the gold. There's a lot of different ways you could go to that, but those flowers kept popping up, and we found this kind of look that just kind of worked, and it looked great, and I love how it turned out. And even if you don't get a chance to snag one of those, and even if you go into your local record shop now and pick it up, you're still getting a really great looking gold vinyl, gold orange translucent record that the record itself has got to complement the art. And the more records I put out, the more I think about that, the more thought that goes into it, because, you know, color wax is cool and all, but it needs to kind of all work together in harmony, as opposed to just a color variant to be a color variant. And early in my career, you know, putting records out, I was just like, oh, I want to come up with the craziest shit that I can think of. And I've got some patents on some things. And, but at the end of the day, it's got to serve the music. And when it all kind of looks good, and it's a good project, man, nothing really beats that.
Yeah. Yeah. You say you had a patent on a variant?
Yeah, we early on we put a physical object, a tarot card in a record, and we had to do a lot of what do you call that, R&D on that.
Yo, I love that, man, because again, your color variants that come from Soul Step are some of the best, and that's what kind of draws the eyes there. Now I got to go back. Jared, what are we looking at here? First of all, I didn't even know there were purple flowers down here until y'all brought it up tonight. So
yeah, man.
What are we seeing here, and what does this mean to you?
All right, so check it out. So much of this album was like, was like, I don't know, kind of based around nature. Like, to me, it just like gave me like, you know, gave me all those kind of visuals, and so that's why you hear a little bit of that of like nature field recordings on the record as well. That's why I tried to, you know, sneak that in there. You know, like at the end of Main South, it's like, you know, that's me walking in the snow, and you can like, you know, hear my dogs like, you know, tags like, you know, jingling it if you listen really close, or like, you know, the or like the coquis, the tree frogs in Puerto Rico that are at the beginning and end of you know, fried plantains, you know, stuff like that. So I wanted, once I knew that I needed to redo the artwork for a second time, I was like, okay, well, what really moves me, and I had already put these field recordings on the record. It's like, well, let's try and do something that's maybe a little bit more nature based. You know what I mean? So those flowers that are on the cover actually were wildflowers that were growing at the end of my street, and so grabbed a photo of those, removed the background, and like I said, I was like I'm a lot better at Photoshop now than I was when I did that, but I literally did that like by hand with like the eraser tool. Like, it took forever, my man. It took forever, but I'm really happy with how it came out, you know? So we've got that, the illustration on it. That was hand drawn by my good buddy Scott Montero,
Okay.
Who used to live with me in Boston. and now lives in Texas. He's just a really, really great illustrator. And so he was like, I want to get involved in this somehow. He's also like a big Wu-Tang guy as well. So I was like, yo, you're gonna hit the nail on the head with this. And he brought me that and was like, yo, I have to include that on the cover somehow. And then it being set with like a faux, night sky kind of thing. What's not inspiring about a night sky, you know what I mean? That's just always been my thing, you know what I mean? I've spent a lot of time in the woods in my life, and that's always just been like, something that speaks to me the most,
I love that. I remember when we talked last year, you would kind of reference these outdoor scenes. And so that was definitely top of mind, definitely hearing the sound effects there. When I saw the cover for the first time, I thought about nighttime in New York, East Coast. I thought about snowfall. I thought maybe it was cold, but then you get the flowers where it's warm, and that gold is warm too. So to me, it completely tied everything together with what the album feels like. And I say feels like when you listen to it. So absolutely beautiful cover. I love the backstory. And I got so many questions from Melvin about these patents and variants and alt covers, but we got to keep things moving. So now, again, we talked last year. Contigo was the lead single. Talk about that being the foundation and what that one means to you, because that is a very big song. And I remember when I heard that, I was like, whoa, what's next? So talk about that kind of being the anchor and what kind of that did for your confidence.
Okay, well, so first of all, that's my favorite song on the album, personally. Really, really love that one. The word contigo, translates roughly to with you. And so in thinking about like who all played on that song, right? Like my good friend Emily Owens, who's played flute on that track. She's a music therapist now. She actually just got her PhD in music therapy just like maybe 2 weeks ago. I think it was like the day before the album release show that she got that. But yeah, we had that. We had, Amber Woodhouse, who's like a fantastic saxophone player around town. Just a lot of different people coming and going on that track. And, so I felt, it was at that time where I was like finishing up that track where I was really feeling the support of the people around me that really wanted to like help propel this thing forward, And at the same time, I had never really I never really like recorded and played a song where it was like, that first verse happens for a long time, right? And I was listening to a lot of Isaac Hayes at the time, and that dude will play forever, And that's right around the time where I started being okay with that and being like, okay, like I can hang out on the same bass line for 32 bars and it's fine. You know what I mean? And I was really starting to discover like, all right, not everything has to change. You can just introduce something here and there and then bring it out and then bring it back, or bring it back just slightly different, but keeping the drums, bass, and guitar and the organ the same. You know what I mean? And once I kind of like layered that up, it was really powerful. It felt really good all of a sudden to just like do that and not have some kind of like musical ADD where I feel like I need to just like get on to the next thing super quick, which I also blame the hardcore community for.
Yeah, well, it's easy to get stuck on something. And I think that like what you were describing there was almost like creating that song was your teacher to a degree. You were learning, you were building confidence simultaneously. There's momentum and support around it. So that was kind of the push that you needed right there. I love that. Gentlemen, I would love to transition to show and tell if you're ready.
Yeah. So what do you think? You want to go first or want me to go first?
I'll go. I can get on one.
Yeah.
I can trade off.
Yeah, let's do that.
So when I thought about this, brother, I thought, let's give the people what they want to see. Let's see the wild, crazy records on my end. I know I got a couple here that are really important, but let's start with one that I think people who follow you might dig. It's this cat named Parker Lewis.
Okay.
He's based out of Columbus, Ohio. I don't know this for a fact, but I think he's on a major now. So there's some things coming there. But he's like a disciple of D'Angelo, and he put this record out called All Good Things. And when I saw this artwork, and again, we talked about I want the record to kind of be a play to go along with the art. So I had this crazy idea. I wanted the record to be an eyeball, to match the eyeball on the art here. So, with some trial and error, I give you the Bloodshot Eye records. You got your iris right here, color of the eye, and of course, it's a little bloodshot. So, I thought that one was one that ended up really cool. One I was really proud of.
Yeah, you're living in the future, man. We ain't seen a variant like that.
Yeah, that's insane. I actually, this is my first time seeing that as well.
Wow.
Yeah, not as strong on the B side, but just how it came out. Shout out to Gotta Groove Records and Heath over there, who kind of helped really bring this to life. And when I think about some of the limited variants I've done, this is one that I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love it.
I'll let you hit him with one now.
All right. So I brought something that my parents bought me when I was 12 and had first started playing music. This was my...
I thought you were going to say a Larry Bird jersey, but go ahead.
Oh, man. No, I got those, though, brother. So this is my Tascam 4-track. I wanted to bring this guy along. So this is the very first thing I ever recorded music on, and I still use it like every single day in my studio. And although the Mount Worcester record was all overdubs and everything, I did in the mixing process bounce the drums, bass, and guitar down to this, and then back into Logic, and then have everybody track to that. Just because I love hitting this cassette really hard with drums.
Yeah.
And it just does a really cool thing that, all tape machines sound different, of course.
Yeah.
But this one is just really cool, and it's been with me like my entire musical life. I got it when I was 12, and I'm 37 now.
Wow.
And every band I've ever recorded on that I've been in has recorded on this.
That is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
interesting what some of these machines can do to change, manipulate the sound. We talked about it when Aaron Frazier was on.
Oh yeah.
I had said to him, I said, the drums on the new single sound more Okonski than your LP.
Yeah.
And he said, wow. He goes, you got a forensic in like listening, because he goes, I sent this to Terry. He put it through his Tascam. It was the last thing we did on the song. And so you can audibly hear those things. And so I'm glad that you were able to show us something. We can see what it looks like and kind of know what you mean when we're talking about sound treatment and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
Shout out to Linda and Wayne for a really good gift.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
To the world now.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Well, I'll show you one more. I talk about like doing a lot of collaborative work, like this record, this Mount Worcester record. I have collaboration, Jared and myself and AJ with Trash Casual. So I'd love to shout out Dollar Records in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh yeah,
Billy.
Shout out Billy.
So
the homie.
He hit
Billy
me
the
up.
Kid.
He hit me up once upon a time, and he says, do you remember the band called the Pinstripes in Cincinnati? And I went, man, that was like before my time. And so he beat me to this guy named Michael Saracen, and he goes by Saracen as his artist name.
Michael Saracen.
And I got a chance to listen to this record, and I thought it was incredible.
Such a good album.
So we came together to co-jointly release this. You take the best of Dalla, the best of Soul Step, and the limited to 100 vinyl was this silver
mirror
that matched the reflection pool you see there. But our Wax Mage, our limited variant, we went absolutely insane with.
Whoa!
Where you've got a kind of nebula, brown, blue, white, but then you also have these zebra stripes that run around that bad boy.
That's a bad boy. Yeah.
When you think about some of the ones that I've done, that when I open them up and I go, damn,
Yeah.
like this was one of them.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to do so much that sometimes I open them up and I'm like, that's legit. That looks great. People are going to lose their minds. And then sometimes, like, the inner vinyl dork in me absolutely runs wild. And so I thought this one would be a cool one to share just because of how great it looks. But it also gives me a chance to shout out Saracen and also Billy at Dollar Records. He's doing some really great work in the soul scene. So if y'all tuning in aren't hip to some of the work that he's doing, please do, because he's had one of my favorite soul compositions in probably the last 10, 15 years, Camilla Hartman's Breathing Hard Over You. It's pure R&B and pop bliss, and I literally own every variant, including a test pressing. That was part of, like, I was like, I'll do this record with you, Billy, but I got to have a test pressing of that record because I love it that much. And he was like, all right, dude, that's cool.
I remember that record. I had showcased that, and I had Billy and Michael on, and there's one song on there. There's a change up. I can't remember what the song title is, but I thought that record was phenomenal.
That'd be in Conceal and Carry, wouldn't it?
Yes, that's
where
the
it goes
one.
like psychedelic on him out of nowhere, and it's
Yo, that record, fantastic. And I love that collaboration with Soul Step and Dalla. Fantastic release. All right. I don't know how many more items you got. I got one to share at the very end, just in case we balance it all out.
I got one more.
Okay.
All right. This is not a rare record by any means, but we talked the last time we got together. We talked about being really inspired by cinema when it comes to this, and so I growing up listening to soul music, my grandmother was really into the Supremes, the Temptations, like love Motown. Always had that on in the car. So that was my real introduction to it. But it wasn't until like I started seeing movies like Dead Presidents, Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, stuff like that, where I was like, oh wait, this isn't just Motown. Like this is something else, and like properly placed. So I saw Dead Presidents and the scene where, I mean, I'm gonna say a spoiler, but if you haven't seen Dead Presidents yet, what the fuck are you doing with your life? But so the moment where Chris Tucker ODs and Tired of Being Alone is playing, I was like, yo, that was my first time hearing Al Green, and I was like, yo, I need this. And so I was already collecting records at that time. I was like 14 years old. I went to Looney Tunes in Boston, and this was my first Soul 45 I ever bought. It's the Tired of Being Alone 45 with Get Back Baby on the flip. And I bought it from a very, very, very grumpy record dealer at Looney Tunes in Boston, Massachusetts. And man, I think I probably got this record for maybe 50 cents. It was like the early 2000s. And yeah, that was kind of what kicked it all off, man. It was Al Green and High Records,
That's crazy. That scene that you're talking about, like, I had never seen anything in real life like that before.
Yeah.
And so I can still see that scene today. I can hear the music.
Same.
And I love the connection to Al Green through that. The record doesn't have to be a $100 record. The fact that you found it back then, you still have it, is dope as hell. And the story behind it that goes with it. That's what makes the music so special to me is these connections. So I'll share one thing with you. Is this book Heated Words right here. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
I'm not.
When I started to prep up for the Pale J unboxing, I was just looking at everything. One of my pals, we were doing lots of research, and so Pale J has a font on his album cover that is like this.
Yeah.
Well, so fast forward months back, we're going crazy trying to figure out what's the name of this font. We're also trying to figure out who's Pale J. So we're going through doing all sorts of, investigation work to find this out. Well, all of a sudden we come across an account that has a lot of that font type across the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, he's kind of got a goatee too. I'm like, maybe we're like taking the mask and putting it over it and like Photoshop to see if it's him.
Yeah.
So long story short, it was the person who actually designed that font for Pale J.
Whoa.
He goes by the name of Blaster B in Switzerland. He's into b-boying, breakdancing, DJing. I mean, the elements of hip-hop is what this man lives. He puts out music too.
That's cool.
But that was the first connection to it, right? And so then he says, oh, man, it came from this book right here. So this book, Heated Words, you see how thick it is all about this unknown, fonts from the 80s.
Yo.
And so I'm absolutely like obsessed and crazy about it. So I'm trying to like, do it in Photoshop myself. I'm trying to get stuff made. Mm-hmm. Last weekend in Canada, they had this massive record convention called Live Convention. The Heated Words crew was there, and they must have made about 1,000 T-shirts.
Yeah.
But I'm just obsessed with this font. I've always loved font types, and so I think that sometimes the text, it says something before you even read it, right? And I think the same way with a lot of content and a lot of design, maybe it's trust, maybe it's, energy, that kind of stuff. But I'm always interested in this. So it's a cool book I'm going to read. You're probably going to see some Waxvillain threads with this font soon, but, that's my show and tell.
Yeah. I got to check that out for sure.
Yeah. Now, gentlemen, you put out one hell of a record this year, but I would love to know what's next for you. Are there shows coming up? Are we going to get something from Mount Worcester before the year's out, or do we have to hold our breath till, FY25? What's new for Soul Step Records? Let us know.
So for Mount Worcester, so we had the release show 2 weeks ago with the Sinceres and the Altons, which was amazing. Shout out to those guys for putting me on. The Mount Worcester shows take a little bit of pause right now because I'm gearing up to do the Alana Royale album release tour.
Are you talking about this lady right here?
Oh, talk about that.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about that lady.
Talk about that new shit. So yeah, so we're gearing up to put that out. When I get back, we're actually in talks to do a show at the end of the year called Nashville Sunday Night, and that is broadcast live on the radio, but also in front of a live audience. And they've been doing that at a club called Third and Lindsley for like a million years. And it's always a lot of fun. And my buddy Chris Cobb, who used to own Exit In, and sadly it was taken from him, he now books at Third and Lindsley, which I didn't know. And I ran into him at Americana Fest last week. And he was like, yo, I love the new record. Like, got to get you on a Nashville Sunday Night. So it looks like we're going to be doing that in maybe December or January. The new record for Mount Worcester is already underway. So I've been working on that a little bit this summer in between touring with Alana. So, yeah, and, taking a little bit of a different, just sort of a different thing on that. I've been playing drums on some of the new songs and whatever. So yeah, so it's been fun,
Very exciting.
So things in the future for sure. Oh, and I do have I've been doing remixes as well for other bands. So I have a Mount Worcester remix coming out pretty soon as well. Probably after the new year. This great band. They're not a band anymore, but there's this band called Waterfall Wash, and they did sort of like indie emo kind of thing, but just like really fantastic songwriting, really great vocals, which kind of sets it apart from the rest of that genre. But yeah, so they hit me up and they wanted to do a remix, and so cool. I did that. So I put my own treatment on that. So yeah, got that coming out soon too as well.
So no letting up. You're just busy.
Yeah.
You're just pushing
forward. On the gas, baby, always.
Okay.
And I'm just like Jared in the fact that my next project's Alana Royale as well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be putting this one out. It's coming really soon.
Yeah, October 6th.
October 6th. So Soul Step's going to start promoting that really hard here in the next couple of days. The first couple singles are incredible.
Incredible.
And Alana's such, she's like Jared, man, an incredible, humble, hardworking person to work with. And, from my side of things, there's nothing that makes me more happy than when someone is all of those things. Because we both have to hustle to make Mount Worcester happen. And obviously, AJ does a ton of that with Trash Casual as well. And you get a chance to work with artists like that push and drive just as hard as you are, and that passion comes out, man. It just makes for a lot of fun. So I'm excited to keep hitting this Mount Worcester record, get this Alana record out, and working on some more stuff. So, we'll be there consistently putting out some good music. And so stay tuned. Both of us.
Yeah.
We got good things coming.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, I got to ask you, there was a fantastic music video in like a roller rink. What's the name of that song? Because I want people to go listen and watch that video.
Yeah. Okay. So that Alana Royale song is called Runaround. It is track number 6, I believe, on the record.
Okay.
And yeah, that one's a really, really fun one. We shot that at Rivergate Roller Rink in Madison, Tennessee, which is like sort of like the land that time forgot a little bit. And so they let us run out the whole place, and we just had a lot of homies come through, a lot of our neighbors. And it was that one was a whole lot of fun. And check this out. The reason why that song is even exists in the first place, you want to talk about like just crazy studio shit. Kelly was downstairs in the studio, sound checking in Oregon, and we were about to track a completely different song, and Alana was in the control room, just kind of singing along to whatever he was playing on the organ, and I was in the corner, and I thought it sounded really dope, and so I just took a voice memo, and neither of them knew that I did that, and then it came time to like track the rest of the album. And I was like, well, I got this thing that y'all played, and none of them knew that I did that, and it ended up being Runaround.
Lead single.
Yeah.
Because that's a monster. When I heard that, I was like, whoa.
Thank you.
I said, whoa.
And
Well, we heard the last single on Coal Mine.
yeah.
I was like, oh, she's back.
Yeah.
She's back. So what we say, 10-6? It's available?
Yes.
Soul Step Records?
Yeah, and it's available for pre-order already right now.
Available for pre-order now. Okay. And
Yep.
you have to forgive me. I got a terrible memory. Where do I shop this?
Hey, hit soulsteprecords.com,
Okay.
y'all.
All right.
Come and
It's
see us.
available.
We got that limited edition vinyl up on the website. Come get it. Come see us. It will be packed with care and love right here in this room with these two hands and delivered right to you. Operators are standing by, as we like to say.
I love it. Any last minute words before we take off?
Man, I just want to say thank you. Before we tuned in, we were just both kind of chatting about like, no one. I don't know of any other like genre that like gets to have a person like you that is like, oh, I'm just gonna put my all into like all of this music that I love and all of these artists that I love, and it's just a really special thing to have in this soul community, and especially for such like a niche and kind of small community on the grand scheme of things. So I just really want you to know that, and like every motherfucker in the scene appreciates what you do.
Yeah,
Man.
no doubt.
Thank
He
you
hits
so
the
much.
nail on the head when he uses the word community.
Mm.
And what we have here is a special thing. We're a group of people out here in the world that shares this common bond, and in a world that only wants to divide us and split us up and tell us how we're all different. There's so much about all of us that's the same. And for us, at least the three here on this call here, man, it's all about the love of this music. Yeah. And we need more things like this in the world where we can all come together. 3 dudes coming from 3 different places in the world, all coming together because we have this thing in common. We love music and we're passionate about it. And the people that follow you, follow me, follow Jared, they share that as well. And it's beautiful to have a place and a person that puts the time, effort, and energy into it. So I can't echo Jared's sentiment enough. We appreciate you for helping to amplify this project, because it means a lot to the both of us, and we're excited that it can hopefully reach some more ears because of you.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much. You know, when I hear things like this, it just lets me know that the decision I made 3 years ago to kind of start this journey was the right thing. And you know, I just have so much love for the musicians, the labels, everyone on this scene. I think everyone is so important. I've always said that you know, the people and the environments that I'm a part, the most important part of any place that I am. And so I love doing this. You all know that I tried to stop earlier in the year, just bandwidth and stuff like that, but it's very much a piece of me. And so it's an honor to support you, to be able to showcase the record and create space for us to be able to document a conversation like this, because my hope is that, you know, 20, 30, 50 years down the road, someone's going to pick up Mount Worcester and they're going to have questions and they're going to want to know more. And maybe they'll be able to find this interview and hopefully it will, you know, allow them to learn more and to connect and to continue to share the music. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, one last shout out to Alana Royale for actually naming my band, because I hate naming bands. She named this band, and so there might not even be a record if it wasn't for her.
I love that. I love that. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. This will be available to stream afterwards. Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. We're out of here. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Good night, y'all.